Hey everyone, welcome to Superhuman Customs. I'm your host Stephen Human. On this channel we just customize action figures, generally McFarlane 7-inch figures, but sometimes I'll branch out. And today we got something a little bit interesting. So I found this guy super cheap, and I really don't like this Batman. I don't care about him. Like he's a Dark Knight's Metal side Batman. He's got a cool coat. But what I've been wanting to do is I've been wanting to take, oh, where's the head? Here it is. I was looking at this head right here, which is from the Infected Superman. And I used him, you guys will remember, like years ago, I tried to make that head for a Super Patriot. Oh, not a Super Patriot, for a Super Soldier from the Amalgam universe. And it didn't work, and I ended up getting a Wally West head in order to make him look cool. But I looked at that and I was like, oh, that would make a pretty good Batman Who Laughs head. And I think the Batman Who Laughs is cool, but I never liked how they drew him so thin, more like the Joker, where he looked just like he was just another version of the Joker. Well, this guy, I think is perfect. I love the coat. We can add all these little details. He's bigger, like I think a half Batman, half Joker would be. He would still have Batman's skill and all of that sort of stuff. And so we're gonna turn this guy with that head into my own version of the Batman Who Laughs. And this guy's got so much detail, we're gonna make him look cool. So let's dive right in. So I was able to get his hair off, and in so doing, after I heated him up, I was able to peel off most of the fabric paint that was covering his face, which was really nice. I was able to, it was plastic, so it came right off. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this Duke Thomas Batman head, and we are gonna cut off the ears here, fairly low down, because I would rather them be, you know, too tall as opposed to too short. And those will be our ears for the Batman Who Laughs. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the Milliput. Actually, it's just this other, I used it on the Jim Gordon figure. I didn't like it, it was sticky, but I don't need to get this quite as perfect as I would with Milliput because it's supposed to look like a kind of a craggy metal and a fabric and stuff. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm gonna use this other resin, because I think it's gonna give me the look that I want. So that's what we're gonna go with. That's our next step. So here we go, and I'm reminded why I didn't like this the first time, because it is sticky. But we're gonna lay it in place and do the mask part, and his mask covers up his nose and his eyes. So that's what we're gonna do. Wrap it around, get it so that it's in place, and if I need to add more, I can to thicken it up. It does cover his entire nose. And then I can cut it in place if I need, but so right now is just to get more or less in place. And then what I want to do is I've cut these nails, these little carpenter nails, and that's what are going to be his spikes. And so I'm going to put them in place, maybe cut them down a little bit because they might be too long, but that will be his mask. And there we go. That's a pretty good start. This resin does dry pretty fast, so it won't take long for this to harden. And then I'll see, because this is a very sticky, more glue-based, and so the spike should stay in, but if not, I can pop them out and I can glue them. That's why having the holes in there is smart at this point. So we'll let them dry and then we'll move on to the next stage. The great thing about this figure is that it already has a lot of little buckles and things, which is perfect for the Batman Who Laughs. But he's got some straps and stuff that goes across his chest and across his stomach. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut strips out of this cape that we've used for several other figures, about this big. And we will glue those in place, some going across his shoulders and some going across his stomach. And then we'll cut little parts to be buckles too. So that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm actually gonna cut out a big section here and then just cut them down. So that's the next step while he dries. And then we'll continue. Having extra capes is great, everyone. If you don't have a bunch of extra capes to do stuff like this, start doing it. Keep the capes. So I got some glue on these, and I've taken off the arms so that I can spread his coat out a little bit more. I'm just gonna glue these in place. And I'm using a thicker Gorilla Glue so that it will conform and dry a little bit faster. So that's what I'm going to do. So you can just pull this back, get these in place, hold it for a second, and then it will hold. And I can do the next one, up and down, and then I'll do the crossways up here. Nice and simple, and it'll give him a really great texture. Cover up the bat symbol, give us what we want. So you can see I did it pretty random, just like it was wrapped on with different straps of fabric and different sizes. I think that really plays to the, you know, the psychoness of the Batman Who Laughs. And I added some sort of buckles here. I do wish before I glued them on that I thought to like make them more buckly with like cut them into so that the middles were gone. I didn't think of that until after they were in place, and at this point it's like, all right, so these will be a lighter, like just a gunmetal gray, so they can stand out a little bit on him. But I do wish that I had thought of that first, so because I've got some straps up here, but I think they'll look really cool. There are certain versions of the Batman Who Laughs who either has buckles or who has just the squares that are painted. So there's a, you know, it's accurate either way, but I do wish I had done that. Before I call it a night, I'm going to paint this guy black. Be simple. We'll go over the chest and the mask here. That'll give us our base, and then we'll be able to start adding our details. And I'm gonna have to paint, you know, all of this black because he is black, and then he has, you know, some like gunmetal gray highlights and stuff. So this will be our nice base, and he will start to take on the look of the Batman Who Laughs. All right, we're gonna take some gunmetal gray and we're gonna go over this part of his mask because it is a metal, and we're gonna hit the buckles here on his chest. So that's gonna be our next stage. And then we'll move on to the face and to other details and stuff. This is where things get fun because he's looking right. He's looking like the Batman Who Laughs. And now we get to add the details that'll just bring some life to this figure. While I got the gunmetal gray out, I'm gonna hit these little, you know, spikes that he's got here on his jacket. They've already got a slight bit of wash on them that's like a metallic, but it's really, it's not pronounced at all. Like on certain lights you can see it, but most of the time they're just straight black. So we're gonna add to that, get some of these details going. The last thing before we do a wash over most of this guy is I'm going to repaint his face with a flesh tone. Because obviously we're gonna make it white, but I wanna be able to deepen all of the colors. And so I'm gonna go through now with a flesh tone to get it so that we can then put the wash on, darken up all the colors, and then we can do a very light white so that he looks a little bit more, not like face painted, but really, you know, like he's pale. That's what I'm going for. Not just a straight up, hey, I painted my face white, but that I'm so pale that it's got all those details. That's what I'm looking for. Now let's do the wash part. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start down here so that I can get stuff a little bit lightened up, and then I will hit the face. That's probably still too much. There we go. And I'm just gonna move it around. Remember, I want to have, I'm gonna do white over all of this anyway, but I want it to look more, you know, pale, and so doing this to it will allow me to have that. And then the rest here, I'm just gonna, you know, add details and stuff to all of this stuff so that I can put some other layers of silver or whatever on it. And what I'm planning on doing is cutting these off, these chains, and actually adding real chains and putting real chain over here too. So haven't gone to Hobby Lobby yet, so I'll have to get those taken care of. All right, I got some watered down white here, and we're gonna put it in place on his face, and I'm gonna get just enough that I can kind of move it all around. So this should be enough for his entire face. Because as you can see through it. And that's what I want, because I want you to be able to see the textures underneath of his paleness and all of that stuff. And then I can go through with more white after the fact and hit some of these areas that will then allow him to look, you know, with a little bit more like it's actually a skin tone. But for now, this is what I want. I want it to be able to pool around, hit some of the creases and things, and really look cool. God, this guy is looking great. After this, we're just doing details. Let's go ahead and put the smile on this guy. I'm just gonna use a toothpick because I have a little bit more control when I do that. It takes a little bit longer because I can only get so much on the toothpick, obviously, but it does give me more control, and that's what I want. I want the smile to look really good, and I want it to just hit the lips and then go up like a good Joker smile should. So that's what I'm gonna do. It'll take me a little bit, but it will look really cool, and that's what we want. Now, with like my Batman Beyond Joker that I did, I tried to get the lips very perfect, you know, because he's a Joker, but a lot of the art shows the Batman Who Laughs with a little bit more messed up red lips, so that's what I did. I went on my way to kind of make it splotchy and stuff to make it look a little bit more haphazard. I also like how this is looking because I didn't want it to be perfect and smooth. I wanted it to look more hand-hammered. And he's really getting the look that I personally want out of this guy, which is way less of like, you know, perfect and taken care of, and more of haphazard and like just insanity, but with a good Bruce Wayne balance to it. So I'm really liking how this guy's turning out. From here on out, it's just going to be details. And it's detail time. I'm going to go around with some silver, hit some of these things. I want some of them to look lighter than others. Again, I want to go with that madness, that crazy look. And so I'm going to hit some of the edges here to scuff some things up with a lighter silver. And then a couple of them I will completely paint silver. And then the rest is just going to be, there's a lot of little details. And with the gunmetal gray, they're not necessarily standing out. In certain lights they do. So I'm going to add some silver to the tips and things in order to really make it so that you can see these things. And the buttons and stuff. We'll go through and kind of do it all. At that point, we'll be finished. So I got some chains from a broken necklace of my daughter's that she let me have. And so I'm going to cut off these chains right here so that we can actually put real chains. And then I got a longer one that we can wrap around his arm here and have him hold. Because oftentimes the Batman Who Laughs will have a chain. So that is awesome. Let's get this moving. While all these details are drying, I'm going to go through. I've got some very watered down yellow here, and I'm going to hit his teeth. I want them to have a little bit more of a yellow tint. And I'm even going to go, let me grab some toilet paper, and I'm going to pat it a little bit to pick up some of the excess. There we go. That looks pretty good. And you're probably hearing my kids play out there because I forgot to close the door. What I'm going to do here is I'm just taking this chain, and it's a very unique, funky looking chain. I like it. It's a little bit different. And I'm just wrapping it around, and then I'm going to glue it in place once I've kind of got it all in place. So I'm going to have it wrapped, and have the rest kind of go through his hand and then hang down. So that's how we're going to do it. I think that's going to work out really nicely. And here we have the Batman Who Laughs. This is much more along the lines of what I think that the Batman Who Laughs should look like. I don't like that he's really thin like the Joker. I think he should be bigger like Bruce Wayne. He is Bruce Wayne after all. And so I love this version. And I love all the details that this guy's got. I mean, I was able to put rivets and buttons all over the place because he's got them. And then it just ended up matching just this weird sort of evil biker look. And I dig it. I love that it looks like just madness and the chains and all this sort of stuff. This is my version of the Batman Who Laughs. Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, I love doing this, and I love just doing crazy things and making things look cool. I hope you do the same. Check out my books at stephenhumanauthor.com, and I'll see you all soon.